Hello everyone, welcome to Bebop Mondays episode number 6. 6 or 7, one of those, but if you want to be sure, you can check the Bebop Mondays playlist, which is linked in the description. And today we're going to take a look at some really cool bebop licks for a standard called Sweet Georgia Brown. And during the bebop era, some other tunes have been written on those chords, namely a tune called Dig, D-I-G, and a tune called With Apologies to Oscar, and probably more, but I will link those two in the description so you can listen. Today I will discuss some licks, some phrases I transcribed from 3 players: Barry Harris, a piano player, Jackie McLean, a saxophone player who is heavily influenced by Charlie Parker, and Sonny Rollins, of course the famous tenor saxophone player. And there are 2 recordings that I took these phrases from, 2 recordings of the tune Dig, and those are linked in the description. Now, there are so many phrases to transcribe that I didn't, normally I do 5 or 6, but I ended up with, 20 phrases, but then from those I extracted the 12 best. So for today's episode, I'm gonna do 6, and then tomorrow I'll record another episode, which is only for my patrons, with 6 more. And then, of course, Friday there will be Gypsy Jazz Fridays, in which I'm going to take a look at what Django does with Sweet Georgia Brown. Also very cool. So let's take a look at the tab. And a small update on the tab. Of course, there's a lot of discussion going on Facebook and Patreon about the size of my tab and what is the best way to do it. Because, of course, I want you to join Patreon. Because the more people I have on my Patreon, the more videos I can produce, because that would give me the opportunity to do it. But I also, of course, don't want to make you feel like the tab is useless. So what I'm going to do is, the tab will be small for the first 5 phrases today, but the 6th lick will have big, giant tabs, so you can follow along without joining the Patreon. Of course, if you join the Patreon, you can download all the tabs I released so far. So the first phrase is a Sonny Rollins phrase for D7. I recorded Sweet Georgia Brown in F on the backing track. There's a link to that in the description. And when it's in F, it starts on D7. This phrase goes like this: 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very cool, really bebop. So he plays it starting before the D7 bar, so you get like 1, 2, 3, D7. But you can play this phrase anywhere, starting any beat in the bar almost. After the 1, like 3, 4, 1. After the 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It pretty much works everywhere. And of course, for Sweet Georgia Brown, there's 3 dominant chords in a row, so we can play the same phrase on G7, then it would be here. So the way I find it is, I think about the 2 chord. So the 2 chord for D7 is A minor, and then I have this A minor shape right here. And start with that shape. So for G7, it's D minor. Maybe we can play it here too. No, then we have too many open strings. Let's not do that. And then for C7, G minor. G minor, right? So let me play it on the backing track, and I can play it the first 3 chords. Then there will be F, I'll improvise something, and then again there will be D7. I can play it again, G7, and then the song goes to D minor and I'll improvise something. So here we go. Now we get a Jackie McLean phrase for the next chord, G7. Sounds like this: 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, 1. 3, 4. Really cool. Part of the bebop skill in there, but he starts with the 9. This cool triplet. He's playing D minor. Of course, we can play this on the other dominant chords as well. So the way I find it is I put my second finger on the root, and then I start with my pinky on the root on the B string. So if you want to play it on D7, this is too low, so I will do it here. C7. Yeah. And here is a Barry Harris phrase for C7 to F. So it's he starts, so it's 4 bars C7. He starts on the 4th beat of the first bar, and then there's a really nice resolution to F. It sounds like this. Let me count. I start counting in the first bar. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. Technically, there's one awkward place, maybe like the 1, 2, 3, 4th bar. We get B flat, and then, but it's very much doable. We could probably play this on the other chords, but if you want to play it on all 3 chords, it's really not possible because they are overlapping. But for instance, we could play it on the first chord, so D7. Then play something for G7, maybe the Jackie McLean lick. And then on C7 we can play it again. 1, 2, 3. Let's try it. cool. And here's another lick for the F chord, right, the 4th chord in the song. Really, really cool lick by mclean. It sounds like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, 1. So he's basically thinking F sharp diminished, and then G minor, C, F, right? F diminished. Actually, he plays this. He plays the whole diminished chord, but that's technically so very difficult to do in this tempo, so I just left one note out, but you can do it if you want. But it's too hard for me, so I'll leave it out. 1, 2. G minor. And then a resolution to F back. 1. You can always imply other chords on a single chord as long as you resolve it back to the chord, especially when it's a long chord like this, like 4 bars of F or 3 bars of F. So let me play this on the tune. And here we have a Barry Harris phrase for D minor. It's where the chords go to D minor, A7, D minor, A7, that part. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, 4. Pretty cool phrase. He plays it an octave higher on the piano, but that's too high for guitar. But sounds great in this octave as well. Something to remark about it. There's the D minor major 7. And the ending is quite surprising. But yeah, just a standard bebop phrase. Sounds cool. Practice it. Play it. And the last phrase for this video, it's the part where we go F7, E7, E flat 7, D7, G7. Oh, it says F7, so it would be G7. I will correct that. So it's the part where it goes. It's right after the minor part where it goes D minor, A7, D minor, A7, and many people don't know what to play there, but in fact, if you think about it, if you would simplify it a little bit, it would be actually just be F, D7, G7, C7, F. Where if you would simplify it even further, it would just be F, C7, F. What I like to play usually is some F, D7 to G minor, right? So you get a 5-1 to G minor, like a 3, 4, and then a 5-1 to F. Something like that, or I can play some bluesy stuff, like D minor. Or you could, of course, play some chords, or you could play this line by sonny Rollins, which is a really nice line that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And basically, sonny Rollins is also doing that. He's playing F, then D7, and then we're on G minor. And it resolves to F. It's the same thing that I would do. F, D7, G minor, and G minor is the same as C7, so you resolve back to F. You could say F, D7, G minor, F, something like that. 3, 4, There you go, 6 great bebop phrases to practice all week, or until tomorrow, because tomorrow I will do a Patreon-only episode with 6 more of these kinds of awesome phrases, again by Barry Harris, Jackie McLean, and Sonny Rollins. And if you're not a patron on my Patreon, I will be back on Friday with another episode of Gypsy Jazz Fridays, and we're gonna do the same song, but look at Django's great solo. And I'll probably make another video in the middle of this week. So I will see you in the next video. Bye!